This is the Media Police Post, broadcasting from the Fort Hall School of Government. In this show, we police the state of truth in the Republic. And because truth is communicated to us by journalists and analysts, we have made it our civic duty at the Fort Hall School of Government to put it to the test. We advance from two confirmed truths about the media. One, and according to Roger Stone, the media is either lazy or evil, and for the most part, it is both evil and lazy. That is why the truth, their truth, must be put to a test. Two, that journalism is verified gossip. In fact, what is presented to us as news analysis is gossip that has been verified by journalists. This gossip has to be ground-truthed. We will assess the state of truth in what they submit to the Republic, and we will pass verdict on what is true and what is not. For the record, we are not journalists. We are thinkers. We are not lazy or evil, and we do not verify gossip. What we give you is the truth that sets you free. On today's show, we will discuss ideas that reflect unformed and uninformed opinions, and ideas that made you stupid. These are narratives that fell into the cognitive trap of we see things as we are, not as they are. Narratives that are based on conjuncture history and those that smack of envelope journalism. Welcome, CS and GK.
Asante.
Thank you. So today I will reflect on the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, the IEBC. Here at the Fifth Estate, we say it doesn't go wrong, it starts wrong. And with just 323 days to the next election, the IEBC has begun to misengineer the 2022 election. So Otieno in the Daily Nation asked if Chebukati was the wrong umpire for the 2022 polls. And I make my submission assuming that the Court of Appeal ruling decision regarding quorum stands, which would mean any preparation for the 2022 election that has been done so far is rendered useless since the Commission fell short of a quorum. And though the IEBC has appealed the Court of Appeal decision, I, however, remain skeptical. For instance, why did it take so long to reconstitute the IEBC? 4 out of the 7 commissioners were sworn in only 2 weeks ago. Now, Otieno tells us it's Kenyans being Kenyans, but I don't buy it. I am skeptical because IEBC has been operating suboptimally for some time now, meaning that they are nested in more than one game. Recall that just before the 2017 election, Chebukati told the public that the IEBC was incapable of carrying out the election. Chebukati had laid a background of acceptance that the 2017 election would be botched. There is a Supreme Court judgment to rubber stamp this. Then he told Parliament in June this year that IEBC is not ready for the polls. Is this a coincidence? I think not. If we look at the electoral landscape, there are already many landmines ahead. For example, the time allocated for voter registration. Under Chebukati, the High Court judgment in the BBI case in May revealed that the IEBC has been fairly idle. The last time it listed new voters was in 2019, I think at the Kibra by-election. Yet there must be ample time for the register to be updated and uploaded into the KIMS kit. Will this be an issue that someone can later on put in their petition? And given that during the last election, 30,000 voters could not be registered due to biometric issues, and we are now expecting 5 to 6 million new voters, what's going to happen? And then there's the elephant in the room. In 2017, Justice Mita ordered the IEBC give effect to the 2/3 gender rule by the next election. Now, while Chebukati has submitted regulations and guidelines, especially to do with party list requirements, this may not suffice as a mechanism for solving the gender question. And it does not solve the loophole that independents do not actually submit party lists. So has the IEBC thought this through? Have they done enough? While there are many more issues, allow me to be a little bit more conspiratorial right now. Is the election simply a cash cow? Is this big business? It has been said that the DP benefited from the 2017 rerun for financial reasons and to actually weaken the president, Uhuru Kenyatta. And given that Parliament has already allocated funds for round 2 next year, are the two in cahoots again for 2022? After all, Porsches and townhouses
don't buy
cost money.
They don't buy themselves.
They don't buy themselves.
And if you've allocated the money anyway and you're willing to spend it, why don't we engineer it such that we must spend it?
Yeah, I smell a rat.
Conspiracy theories indeed.
Yes.
And the thing about conspiracy theories is that often most of them are proved right, or at least they bring out some very pertinent issues.
Yeah.
Now, in the past week, of all the headlines issued by the newspapers from the major media houses, more than 60% touched on the 2022 election in some way. You can bet your last ndururu that on some weeks that concentration is higher.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly, we are a country in the grip of the tempest of our politics, a captive audience. But history proves instructive that sometimes we fail to register our attention on some very crucial aspects of the plot, and we only realize when it is too late and the cost is too high. How do you explain that we are the same country that was recently obsessed with opening servers that were in France, but not too long ago we had the Mlolongo system? Fine, granted, maybe some voters weren't born by that time, but examples may suffice. In 2007, Samuel Kivitu, the head of the ECK, in January of 2008, after overseeing the election, said that he did not know who had won the election. 10 years later, in October 2017, Chebukati, as chairman of the IEBC, declared that it was difficult to guarantee a free, fair, and credible election, as JK pointed out. And this was just a week before a repeat poll, and a day after the vice chair resigned while on a flight to Dubai, saying she will not participate in a mockery. In April 2018, 3 more commissioners, bringing the total to 4 out of 7, resigned, stating they had no faith in Wafula Chebukati. What is the point? Kenya is only just maturing as a democracy, and yet the processes that are designed to ensure the perpetuity of our democracy are sometimes the very things that bring us to the brink of crisis. And it is these processes that we must increasingly guard jealously, and that also means that the people at the helm of independent institutions must be unimpeachable. As we speak, the IEBC potentially faces another major crisis, and it is worrisome because we know that there are forces that are prone to election misengineering, even if it costs the country, and even if they say Bwana Asifiwe. Recently, the Court of Appeal, agreeing with the High Court, held that the IEBC lacked quorum. The implication is that about 20 by-elections and any other key processes such as procurement conducted by the IEBC, while it had 3 commissioners, will be considered void ab initio, meaning IEBC cannot purport to have done that which it did not have the powers to do. For example, other than the verification of signatures and the 20 by-elections, there's also the procurement for the elections management system, famously known as the KIMS kit. Yes, ile ya fungua sava. The IEBC had issued a tender in May, and that may be voided also because of lack of quorum. But as you mull over that, consider this. Earlier this month, separate from the court decisions, the Public Procurement Administration and Review Board made its own decision cancelling the KIMS kit tender, saying that it was illegally awarded. Furthermore, in 2020, the court also found that Chebukati presided over an unconstitutional recruitment process for CEO. The decisions on the illegality of the tender award and on the unconstitutionality of recruiting a CEO may be proof that if we are to put the debate of quorum, or whether there should be 3 commissioners or 5 commissioners, put that one side, different constitutional bodies have found that Chebukati has presided over illegal and unconstitutional processes. So, is he the safest pair of hands to referee the next elections, especially given our colorful history, which I pointed out earlier? And if he remains at the helm, the question is, if 20 by-elections are nullified, will he be objective in conducting fresh ones, especially if he was unsure about the 2017 fresh elections after nullification? Secondly, how can he explain the Public Procurement Review Board decision about the illegality of the award? Did he have an interest in the company that was illegally awarded? Furthermore, if the IEBC was not properly constituted to verify signatures, what happens to all those people who have been registered as voters by the same commission that lacked quorum? And whereas some people might argue that the potential voiding of by-elections and maybe even voter registration may not entirely be his fault, he must be put to task on whether he did the responsible thing, which would have been to ask for an advisory opinion on the issue of quorum after a total of 4 out of 7 commissioners resigned under his watch, instead of waiting for petitioners to file a litany of cases after millions of taxpayer money had already been spent.
Not even taxpayer money. I wish they'd just do those re-elections again. I remember Kiamba distinctly and exactly how much UDA spent for their one member of parliament.
But you know, it can also be said that UDA money is still taxpayer money.
I think I'll take another tangent this week. I'll still talk about elections, but this week I'd like to comment on an article published in The Star titled "Speaker Muturi Accuses Uhuru of Dictatorship and Intimidation." The claims made by Justin Muturi on the president are unfounded, therefore I will not repeat them or address them here. I would, however, like to give the speaker a short lesson from history. It's a lesson on political timing. In public life, nothing is more important than timing. An action or an announcement can have dramatically different results depending on the moment that the action or announcement is undertaken. And in politics, timing isn't just important, it is everything. Because politics is about timing, a clever politician should try to influence the timing of events in such a way as to maximize the political benefit or minimize the political costs for themselves. But Justin Muturi is behaving not like a clever politician. With 11 months to the election, he has declared stupidly an interest in the presidency, and he's moving into campaign mode too early. In 1992, there was a wave of defections to DP, not DP, Democratic Party. Everyone was convinced that the Moi era was over and Kibaki would become president. It only made sense to join the winning camp early. Are there some defections that you know of? But the wind was sharply taken out of DP's sails when Matiba bolted from Ford to form Ford Asili and Jaramogi formed Ford Kenya. Then both Matiba and Jaramogi joined Kibaki as presidential candidates. These late entrants split the national vote into such thin ethnic slices that Moi, the one who everyone thought his era had come to an end, ended up winning the election with only 36% of the vote. Politics and political moves are all about timing. Don't move into the turf of the presidency too early. 11 months is a long time in politics and anything could happen. And by the way, this advice is also relevant to William Ruto as well.
Indeed.
I'd like to thank you for watching us today. Thank you for joining us at the Media Police Post. See you next Monday, and columnists, we have put you on notice.